Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new video. We are talking all things high impact blonding today, especially on either like hard to lift hair, hard to lighten hair, naturally dark clients or thick haired clients, that kind of stuff. This is my client Tara, and as you guys see, she's naturally extremely dark. However, we do a lot of blonde on her. Plus, we have a little dark hole situation going on in the back just because I know we did at least one half head. We might have even done two in between this. So we definitely just needed to get all of that dark taken care of today. So the first tip that I have for you guys is make sure that you are prepping the hair accordingly. Especially in these high impact blonding situations, whether you are using like any type of damage protection, whether you are using something for moisture, you could be using something for any type of, if they have any mineral buildup in their hair, whatever it may be. But the hair is going to be going through quite a bit today, and you just want to make sure that the hair is as prepared as possible. So I chose to go in with K18. I use multiple different types of hair prep situations, so use whatever you feel is best for the client. And yeah, I vary it depending on the client as well too. So we're gonna get started. As you guys see, I'm doing a mohawk section along her natural part with the sides, and then I split the back up into kind of three sections really. So right now what I'm working on is that occipital area, and I went in with this area first because since she was so dark back here, I wanted to get that taken care of first, because when we get to the top and the sides, as you guys will see, because we've lightened those areas the most, she doesn't have nearly as much depth and dimension that we have to work in and break through. The other thing with Tara too, so her hair is naturally actually very fine, but something about her cuticle I feel like it's just a little tighter than most fine haired girls, because her hair actually does take a minute to lift. And I think half of it, like I said, has to do with the fact that she's naturally really dark. But I think the other half of it does just have to do with the fact that, again, she just has like a more tightly packed cuticle, I feel. And I feel like on her, what I've learned, I've done her hair for about 3 years now, give or take. And her hair will lift out of the 5 area just fine. It just gets stuck in the 7, 8 area. So I've learned over time things that I need to do to help with that. And just as a standard thing, not just for her, but for a lot of people, when you are working with a dark hole situation, it definitely is best to kind of get that area taken care of. This back area too, because the hair is typically a little thicker, a little healthier, and not as lightened typically as the front and the top, does take a little longer on average to lighten anyway too, unless if they for some reason have a different circumstance that changes that. But on average, in a standard hair situation, this area does already traditionally take longer to lift. So if you can, especially on these high impact fulls, it might be in your best interest to consider starting in the back first. What I'll even sometimes do, depending on the situation, is I will start in like that hard to lift area, so just a section in the back, and then I'll work my way to the front, and then I'll work my way back to the back where it doesn't take as long too. Everyone's a little different, and again, it just depends on the situation we've got going on. On her, I just kind of got I got everything from the nape up. I cut off at the nape though, and I saved the nape for last because that hair is a lot finer, and I knew I was going to be stacking a ton of foils here. So I knew that was going to lift really quick, and I did not want to cause any damage. So I saved the nape for very last, and it was kind of a pain lifting up all of those foils, but creative foil placement and a foiling pattern for these high impact blondes to ensure not just great lift, but great health and hair integrity at the end too is extremely, extremely vital. As you guys saw too, and you're going to see me doing it again here in a second, I am tipping out some of these dropouts here in the back to, again, just make sure we're getting as much blonde coverage as possible. On her, again, because she does, A, is a little bit more of a harder to lift head of hair, and B, because she's naturally really dark, I am doing these tip outs as I go. And I just watch them, and if I need to, I pull them. But a lot of times, think about it like this, you guys. We're taking dropouts, so a lot of times they're a little thicker of sections than your traditional Babylight for one. And for two, these sections are furthest away from the scalp, so there's no heat incubation that you're getting. So a lot of times, these actually take a little longer to lighten, and that's exactly why I'm going with these as I go. or I'm doing these as I go. If she was naturally level 8 or she lifted really quickly, or something like that, you know, I would definitely reconsider. But with this, since this isn't any overlapping situation and they need just as much time to lighten, if not more than the Babylights, that's why I'm doing them as I go. So for the foiling placement of what I'm doing back here is I am doing like my own little brick light situation where I'm just kind of going back and forth between doing diagonal backs and center sections. And I just kind of let her hair and her growth pattern kind of tell me what type of section I need to take. Sometimes it is just 1 to 2 diagonal backs to like 3 or 4 horizontals. Sometimes it's vice versa. You know, it just kind of depends. But what I do like to do is as I work my way up here towards the top, I do typically like to go back into doing a horizontal section so that it just makes it super easy for me to go right into doing this mohawk area, which are all horizontals besides the money piece. So what you see me doing right here is this top part of the mohawk. And then we will head on into the money piece here in a second. And how I do this is I start in the back and I work my way up until pretty much when I can't reach anymore, which doesn't help for me because I'm naturally really short. So sometimes I don't really make it very far. And then I will turn them around to the front, do the money piece, and then I will work my way backwards and I'll go back into like that traditional highlighting pattern of whatever that highlighting pattern I'm doing. And I will work until I can make the back meet up with, or I make the front meet up with the back is what you're going to see me kind of doing from here. The lightener that I am using is Oligo's Extra Blonde. So I started out at first in the back, I did 15 volume. And then I work my way up and I move up 5 by 5 volume every time. But on her, I actually stopped at 25 volume, which I normally am a lover of 30. But again, I feel like on her hair is just a little different. I've learned on her that on 30 volume, I think her hair just gets way too, like it gets to a level 8 way too quickly and then it just stops and burns out. So she is one of those where like the whole low and slow is definitely the way to go for her. A lot of clients though, I am not afraid to use 30. I love 30 volume. It definitely gets the job done. But again, her hair is just a little different. And honestly then it's like, well, if your hair lifts better with 25 volume and it's not nearly as damaging anyway, you know, so be it. Here you guys see I'm obviously working in on the money piece. And on the money piece, I'm definitely taking more so slices around at a diagonal back around her hairline. Up top, you guys were, in case if you guys didn't really catch it, I was doing mainly weaves. In the back and the bottom areas, I went back and forth between weaves and slices. I really like more so doing weaves on her because, again, since she is so dark, even though I do root tap her, it just grows out a lot more softly with those weaves. However, in that back area and on this money piece area, I need coverage. So I'm going to more so opt for doing more slices, and I'll just alternate with and incorporating the occasional weave in there as well to make sure things still stay soft as well. And then with these slices too, as you guys see, they're very, very, very fine. And then those last couple sections, like you see me doing here, are going to go back to doing weaves. And that kind of helps too. Those are like more transitional pieces that helped her transition her hair from that money piece to the traditional highlights back in the back and like the sides of her head. And now what you guys see me doing is meeting up that front area with the back of what I just highlighted too. And then after this, what I do is I go in on the sides, and to help me with that, I will flip these foils. I'll fold these foils up a little bit. But I don't do those. I don't fold the foils as I go because one, I just feel like it just kind of, they get in my way as I'm doing the mohawk. But also two, it just saves so much time to not worry about folding those up until later, and then you just fold them all up at once. That's a quick and easy way to save a lot of time with foiling. Because for her, like especially when we're doing her fulls, like the girl's sitting for at least 2 hours while I'm foiling her, I swear. Actually, I think on her this time, I definitely think I'm starting to get a little faster finally. Because if I remember correctly, this video was pre-filmed a couple weeks ago. But I'm pretty sure that I actually foiled her for more so like an hour and a half. Which normally on her, when I'm doing a full situation, it takes closer to 2 hours. So, but make sure that that's one thing that you do let your clients know for these is that like you're going to be sitting here for a minute because since I have to take so many sections and so many fine sections, it takes so much time. I used to think that I was a slow foiler, but I don't think I'm as slow as I more so am just detail oriented, because again, like, look at how many foils we have to do. Like, the girl has at least 100 foils in her head. I'm literally not even kidding. So just make sure that you make that realistic with your clients when you go to make their appointment or you consult with them. And just to make sure that you have as much time that you need for them as well. Normally on tarot, when we're doing fulls, I actually block out 4 hours. Whereas on the traditional fulls, it's anywhere between 3 to 3.5. But again, with having so much dark, it does take me a little bit more of a hot minute to get through that. And I need to give her a little bit extra lifting time as well, because again, her harder to lift hair. So that's where like the custom booking definitely comes into play. I do offer online booking, but I just kind of monitor, like, when people go to book online, they're just request only. And I make sure I have enough time for whatever it is that they book for with it. So if you guys want a video on online booking and stuff like that and how I do it, let me know. And after everything is all foiled, like I said, I did the other side, and then I went in underneath and I did the nape section too. And what I did immediately after I was done foiling was I went in that back section. I took the very first foil I did in the underneath and the very first foil that I did at the top mohawk, and I fully pulled it out. One, because I saw that it was like I could tone that as I went, but also two, I was checking the elasticity of her hair to make sure that her hair could safely stay in a foil still. Her hair was still perfectly strong, so I knew that the lightener wasn't really like working super strongly at this point. And I knew I was very confident that her hair could sit for an additional half hour before I pulled all of the foils out. That's a very surefire way to check to make sure that her hair could still withstand staying in foils. I've done her hair enough that I'm normally pretty sure, but when I'm doing those high impact fulls, I definitely do like to just go in and double check and make sure everything was still, again, good to go. So now what we're doing is we're doing a balayage, because if you can see, she does just have a little bit of dullness and darkness on the end. And I did go in with 40 volume, but calm down. One, when you're doing it in open air, it dilutes it. When you're putting it on wet hair, it dilutes it even more. And I only let it sit in for about 5 minutes. So kind of like how I was saying, how with her hair kind of with 30 volume, it lifts super quick to a level 8 and then it stops. Well, same thing with using that 40 volume on that balayage. I wanted it to quickly brighten up. I didn't want it to take all day because I had things to do. You know, I didn't want her sitting with lightener on her ends all day. So that's where the 40 volume was good, because I had enough time to literally just go in and I let it sit on for about 5 minutes, and then by that 5 minutes was done, I was ready to rinse it. It was ready to be rinsed, and I was able to root her and tone her. And I had the toner formula up there that you guys saw. If you missed it, definitely go back and go and write it down if you need to. And look at that even, clean, super healthy canvas. We just had to do like a little bit of a trim on her ends, and her still super healthy and super bright and so pretty. And very, very soft, again, especially for how dark of roots that she has. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you learned something new. Definitely let me know in the comments if you have any questions or anything. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.